Okay, so we've all been there, right? That twice-a-year clock change thing.
That spring forward or fall back moment.
Exactly. But, beyond just being annoyed or confused for a day, how much do we actually, get about daylight saving time, DST?
Yeah, it's kind of a standard thing for so many people, but when you dig in, it's surprisingly complex and definitely debated.
So that's what we're doing today. We're going to cut through the usual stuff and really look at what our sources say about why it's here, how it actually works.
And if it even makes sense anymore, the sources give a pretty clear picture of the mechanics, but also some interesting angles on its original goals versus what it does now.
And who uses it globally or doesn't.
Right. That part's quite revealing, too.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. What is daylight saving time, fundamentally?
Well, the basic definition from the sources is it's the practice of setting clocks forward, usually by 1 hour. During the warmer months, so spring and summer, the whole idea is to make better use of natural daylight in the evening.
It always feels so abrupt, though, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
shift. So how does it actually happen? The mechanics of it?
It's pretty straightforward, mechanically speaking. You got the two key dates. In spring, usually around March here and in Europe, the clocks jump forward.
Straight from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Exactly. That's your spring forward. You technically lose an hour of sleep, but you gain that hour of daylight later in the day.
Okay.
Then come autumn, usually November time, it's the reverse. Clocks go back an hour. So 2 a.m. happens twice, essentially. It goes from 2 a.m. back to 1 a.m.
That's the fallback. The one everyone likes a bit more, maybe.
Yeah.
Get that hour back.
Yeah, arguably. You regain that hour.
So, okay, that's the how. A simple time shift, twice a year. But what was the big idea? Why start this whole coordinated clock changing? Seems like kind of a hassle.
Well, the original purpose, or at least the stated one, was pretty clear back then. It was about extending usable daylight into the evening hours.
So what, save energy?
Primarily, yes. The idea was less need for artificial lighting in the evenings, which would mean, reduced electricity consumption, making the most of the sun.
Makes sense on paper.
It did. But, and this is a really key point from our sources, while that was the initial goal, its actual effectiveness in saving energy today, that's pretty hotly debated.
Really? Debated. I feel like I've always just heard DST saves energy full stop.
Right. It's a common line. But modern studies, they often find the savings are, well, negligible. Tiny.
Negligible. Or even worse.
Sometimes even negative, yeah. Some analyses suggest that while you might save a bit on evening lighting, people might use more heating or lighting on those darker mornings after springing forward.
Ah, okay. The morning cost.
Exactly. And our energy use patterns are just different now. Air conditioning, electronics. Shifting an hour doesn't necessarily cut overall usage like it might have decades ago.
Plus the disruption itself, maybe.
Yeah.
Schedules and stuff.
That's increasingly part of the conversation, too. Potential impacts on productivity, health. The economic side of that disruption is weighed against these questionable energy savings.
Wow, okay. That's quite a twist on the standard story. So, given all that debate about its core purpose, how many places actually do this? Is it a global thing we all just accept?
Oh, definitely not global. Not even close, actually. Our sources show it's common in, say, North America, the U.S., Canada, and most of Europe. They observe it.
Right, that feels familiar.
But huge parts of the world don't. India, for instance, does not use DST.
India's out. Interesting.
And many, many countries across Asia and Africa also opt out. It really raises questions about how useful it is universally.
Why don't they? Is it just not needed?
Well, partly. If you're near the equator, the length of daylight doesn't change that much between seasons anyway, right? So shifting clocks offers very little benefit.
Makes sense. Less variation.
For others, it might just be that the disruption isn't seen as worth any potential minor benefit, or they simply never adopted it in the first place.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive then. Daylight saving time. It's about moving clocks forward in spring and summer, trying to get more evening daylight.
Check. The spring forward and fall back, usually an hour difference.
Typically runs March to November in places that use it, and its original big idea was energy saving.
But that's the part that's really up for debate now. Modern studies often just don't back up significant savings.
And maybe the most eye-opening thing? Tons of countries, like India, much of Asia, Africa, they just don't do it at all. It's far from universal.
Exactly. Which leads to a pretty interesting thought, doesn't it? If that original energy reason is shaky and so much of the world gets by fine without it, What's the future hold for DST?
Hmm.
How do societies balance maybe liking longer summer evenings against the hassle, the disruption it causes twice a year? When you think about this whole clock-changing ritual, what really stands out to you as the most, well, surprising part?